Hello, I'm Dan West with the Livonia Chamber of Commerce, and this is our latest cyber edition of CityScape, a regular series of video chats about people, place, and ideas that impact Livonia. Local hospitals today are transitioning from the emergency response phase of the COVID-19 outbreak towards resuming normal activity. To talk about how that is being handled at St. Mary Mercy Livonia, we welcome Hospital President David Spivey. David, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me. I look forward to chatting with you.
So, can you tell us some of the biggest things you've learned about COVID-19 and how to treat it that you didn't know in the beginning of March?
Well, I think, we were initially, a little very concerned, as everyone was, around the availability of personal protective equipment, but we became over time reassured that the PPE that we provided our staff and the reinforcement of training that we provided our staff, was very effective in keeping our staff safe. And so that was a learning that was a hope for going in, but as we progressed through the surge, it was something that proved to be very effective. And so we're pleased about that. Remdesivir, the drug that has been in play in the news and whatnot as a treatment for COVID. We're cautiously optimistic that that's going to be ultimately proven to be useful. We're participating in the clinical trials or the studies related to the use of that drug, and so that was something that was a learning. Clearly, that was an AIDS antiviral drug that's been redeployed in this COVID crisis, and it seems promising at this point. We established dedicated COVID and non-COVID care teams, so we very quickly cohorted the patients that we had in the hospital, those who were positive for COVID or suspected positive, or versus all other patients. And so we cohorted and separated out our care, and we had separate teams that took care of both groups of patients, and caregivers did not cross over, but they stayed separated, again in an effort to keep our staff and our patients safe. And then probably the great learning was the use of telemedicine across our healthcare system. Virtual video visits, if you will, between patients and physicians, between patients and physicians in the hospitals, physicians in our ambulatory centers. The COVID crisis really caused this growing industry to accelerate the deployment of that technology, because of course we shut down many of our ambulatory care sites, our physician offices, and the only way to communicate with patients was via video. And so we really embraced that, and it took off in a robust way, and it's going to be a technology that will be with us for years to come.
And that is something that's been in the works before, but obviously got accelerated with what you had to do
Right.
for months.
Yeah, it was kind of out of necessity, right, in terms of how do you remain connected to patients. It was a technology that was beginning to get deployed, but it was accelerated greatly with this crisis.
How do you assure people that it's safe to visit their doctor or specialist at the hospital today who may have been scared to go to the hospital during the COVID outbreak?
Mm-hmm. Well, we put into place a lot of measures that keep patients safe. We have screening of all visitors and patients that come to the hospital. Temperatures are checked at entrances. We've restricted visitation, to in a very limited way, or to a limited number of people who come to the hospital, whether as visitors or as patients. And masks are provided to all patients who they don't bring their own. We are doing some creative things in terms of how we register patients. We actually have a drive-up registration process where for pre-scheduled cases, you come up and do a quick reg from your car, then you wait in your car, and then when you're ready to come in for the procedure or the test, we call you and you come in. So there's no waiting in the waiting room where you might be exposed to somebody else who has who may have conditions, and so it's those are the types of procedures we put in. Advanced cleaning processes, and again, that cohorting process that we used early on continues as we move forward. So we're doing everything that we can to separate care. The remaining patients that have COVID are separated from everyone else. And again, we have separate care teams. So those are the types of procedures that we put into place. And it's similar across the industry. We're all learning together and doing the same types of things. And it's the same types of procedures that you will see at other physician offices, at hospitals, at dental offices, as the economy and the medical care system begins to open back up. Let me add one more thing about returning to the healthcare system.
Sure.
For our patients, and that is there is a lot of care that's been deferred. When we shut down our healthcare system, for elective procedures, we took a lot of care offline, and so there's a lot of time-sensitive care where people need to get back into the physician office and the hospitals for their own health. That's been deferred. We were treating only urgent and emergent cases during this period of time. And so people with chronic conditions and other health problems, you don't want them to linger and then create further health problems because you're not accessing care. The message really is it is safe to return to care. My family's return to care. It's safe for them, and it's safe for you.
And that's one of the big reasons we're going to bring you on, Dave, is to give you the chance to state that to people that if you've got an issue, you need to get checked out. It's fine to go get checked out now.
Right, and don't let it linger, because it could turn into something bigger, and then you'd have a real healthcare problem. So safe to return. Many patients have taken essentially 2 to 3 months off from accessing the healthcare system. It's safe to come back, and it's the right thing to do for your own health.
Is there anything you'd like to say about the doctors, nurses, and other hospital personnel who continue to show up these last 3 months?
Sure. I mean, the team here at St. Mary's has done a remarkable job. And when I talk about the team, I talk about beginning with our frontline staff, our physicians, our nurses, our frontline managers, and our senior leadership team. St. Mary was hit very hard. The city of Livonia was hit very hard with the COVID crisis and the numbers of patients that we had. And the team really rallied around one another and put into place a great care model for these patients. It really was best practice, many of the things that were put into place here. And they went about it in an organized way. Obviously, it was a crisis, and we had our moments like other organizations. But again, we went about it very methodically and quickly set up systems of care, brought more resources into place so that we could deliver the best care in a safe manner. And I'm just extraordinarily proud of the team. I was, as we talked about earlier, I was actually down in Columbus on a temporary assignment, and I was checking in on a daily basis on how things were going. But the team just did a remarkable job. And truly, the Livonia Hospital was the hardest hit of any within the St. Joe's system. And again, they responded remarkably and did a great job for our patients and our community. And I'm just extraordinarily proud of them for their efforts, and extraordinarily proud to be associated with them.
Well, Dave, I mean, the Livonia Chamber, definitely the Livonia community, there's enormous appreciation that people have, the people that continue to show up to work, to take care of our sick, and to deal with some pretty harrowing, uncertain times. But they definitely, we appreciate what the team at St. Mary Mercy Livonia has done, and definitely please share that word with the team there at the hospital.
Well, yeah, I thank you, Dan, for that. And I think, one of the contributing factors to our success was the broader Livonia community and the great, relationships that we had with many elements of the community, our fire and rescue, our police, and other elements of the community, such as the chamber. I mean, a lot of groundwork has been laid, of which your organization has been fundamental to laying that groundwork of creating a real community here in Livonia. And that was a big part of our success. We had tremendous support from businesses who made, protective masks for us, and restaurants that delivered food to our frontline staff. And, that all happened. I think the secret sauce is the way that people come together in Livonia, and have been for a number of years. And when something like this hits, we all support one another.
And Dave, you've been at the job long enough to know that's just what Livonia does, right?
That's right. It does. And it makes you proud to be part of the community.
So, well, David, thank you very much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, we appreciate everyone for watching this edition of CityScape, and we'll see everybody next time.